This grass here in the field, this will show you exactly what dung does when we spread it on the fields. You get patches that are longer, you can't really tell with that one, but that one you can definitely, and one there, all across the field, you can see the wee patches. And that's where the cattle have been dirty, and that then soaked into the soil, and that patch of grass has then got more nutrients than the rest of the grass, so it shoots up. So that's what we're doing when we spread dung on the fields. It's basically an even coverage of all that, and the crops then grow further and grow better, like that patch of grass compared to the stuff all around it. Anyway, I came out to check on this cow, see if she's anywhere closer to calving, but no, she's not looking like it. So, I don't really know what to think. I still think she is in calf. She's wide in the between the legs there, but don't know. This was one of the firstborn calves. A good looking calf. It's got a big back end, quite wide along the back, and it's stretching out longwise. So your best cuts are along its back, and then you want good length in the animal, so you get a lot of meat along the back, and you also want a wide width of back. So see her back end's pretty big, and along the top there, and it's just a wee one next to it. Percy's getting wired in this morning. Been around all the animals. Need to head along the road to Drum Harvey. There's a fence to fix because there's sheep getting out, so take the quad back along on the trailer and go and have a look. Digger man's hoping for the rain to stop. I'm going to clear up at the moment. I've got the trailer on, put the quad back in, head along the road, and we'll go see what's happening with the fence. Hopefully stop the sheep getting out. I think it's knackered goose to just a bit of a patch job until we get a chance to redo a lot of fences. Quad bite's coming out. Kev's just taken off the hedge cutter and putting on the fert spreader. He's going to go and spread some fert. And the sprayer's in there, and it's there's something broken on it. We're waiting on a part coming. Under this fence is where they're going, and up into the wood. So you can see them all. They've just headed back. So there is a bit of wire down here. I'll try and patch it a bit, but it is a bit goosed. Done my patch. Hopefully that'll stop the sheep now. Didn't want to put it right down too low in case logs and leaves and whatnot will all block it, so there's still a gap along there. Just picking up some eyes. Highland Industrial Supplies these are for the actuators on the container. Update on the shed. So this pad of planings has been put down and rolled in, and the cutouts for the pads that the uprights go on, they're called the footings, have been dug out. So then they'll get filled with concrete, and that's a pad that you then build onto all the way down. They'll keep going down, but we've not got enough height down there, and same up here along the front. That's more planings coming at the moment. Fill out all this. It's still been too wet to bring up more gravel or sandy type soil to pack in all around here, and all the way down the bottom we still need to fill in. That platform there is still about 5 foot below the rest of this, so hopefully it'll dry up soon. That's more planings being tipped. They'll get filled out over here. I think these 2 tractors are going to head down the edge of this field, and the old railway at the bottom there. There's some bottoming in there that is useful for this, so I think they're away to try the road, see if it's any use, because it was too wet yesterday. That's Kevin, and Duncan will be following him along the road. They're going to go and spread some fertiliser along the road. Duncan will be on the forklift shifting fert for Kev. Keep him going, don't need to run back to the yard. Just spent a wee bit of time there. Finished up the last bracket for the container. That's still hot. and that one there, which is really hot. But I need to go and do deliveries now for the shop. Dad usually does them, but he's away today, so got all my orders ready. So the girls in the shop make them up in the morning, and then usually my dad does them, so he'll come in, collect all the orders, go and deliver them around about Perth. We'll just have a quick check on how much groundwork they've been able to shift before I head off. So there's a few piles there and a few in behind it. So they're clearly dry enough this morning to bring it up. They're wanting to fill kind of right out to probably about halfway across to that verge, and that'll allow them to be able to dig for the footings in here, like they have on this side. And then there's concrete ordered for Monday. Today's Friday, so if they get all this finished, then we'll be able to use all the concrete on Monday and get those footings in and ready for the shed builders to come in, and they can build from there. Anyway, orders. Should take me a couple of hours to get around all these. 2.5, maybe 3. Dunk's just back in, he's been spraying all day. Kevin's been spreading fertiliser all day. I've just got back from doing deliveries. I stopped at a friend who was at his sheep today, Billy, Wills and Vanessa. Good morning. They watch it in there when they're having their breakfast, so Wills does anyway. That's the actuators both on, one there with the bigger mounts. So I'm going to wire it up so I can wire it all into the one, because I can only actuate one at a time, linking it to a battery. So I'm going to do it so I can boot them both, test it going right the way out, shutting again, and then once the whole thing's complete, this will get taken away and it'll be done via a main supply converted to a DC instead of just using a battery. So it's just on a switch, momentary on, neutral, off switch. Not on, neutral, up, neutral, down. So I've got them test wired up for now. I've just put 2 fuses in on each motor, 5 amp fuse, so I can protect the motor. So if anything was to blow, the motor would be protected and it would just be a fuse to replace. So I've got both of them wired up at once, and just connect this terminal here and should be ready to go. Seems to be going so far, so good. So that's it, fully opened. Just in terms of safety, once it's opened, I will then have legs that sit under here, and I'll drop it down fractionally just onto the top of the leg. So that's taking a lot of the weight. So just in case anything was to fail on that end, this is solid as well. So kind of double safety. And then possibly just a big steel bracket that you can take off and on in there, just for make sure. Switch the terminals around, close it now. Now we've got the door finished, we can complete every single weld, make sure they're all sturdy. Also starting to do the flashing. So this, we lip welding that on along the bottom and along the top, so that when it's closed, it doesn't let the rain in. Along the top, I'll do like a wee ledge that comes out over the top so rain can't get in that way. This is a welding helmet. So when you're welding, it creates a really bright light. It's bad for your eyes, it can damage them. So this, as soon as it detects a bright light, basically puts really strong sunglasses on your eyes. Got quite a bit done today on the shed project. It's probably about out to here this morning, so they've filled all that in, levelled it off. There's been quite a few loads of gravel come in, planings for the top surface. So everything's brought up to this base level. Anything that's kind of muck or bumpy, scraped off for a level surface. Then the planings are put in, they're packed in again with the roller. It's probably 3-4 inches of planings, and then on top of that will go the concrete. There'll be a 6-inch concrete pad across the whole shed. It'll be done in 2 pours, I think. But for now, I want to get this patch built a wee bit further out, and then they can dig the footing holes, which then take concrete, the pads for the uprights of the shed, like that beam there. So they'll be bolted into the pads that are concreted in. Okay, so these are the pads. They are 2 meters square. I think some of them are slightly bigger than other ones, or some of them might even be double the size of other ones. Just the way the shed's been designed, because it's quite a big shed. That's all down to the shed guys. They do all that. Ian does all the kind of prep work for the shed builders and post building work, such as the concrete pads and all that, concrete floor and all that. So that's the footings. There'll be a good more view beyond that trailer again, along the bottom, back up that side, and then along the top as well. But progress. Hopefully the plan is to have it up and ready for harvest. It won't have any elevator systems in it or conveyor systems for grain in it. It'll all just be done with a forklift for this year. Hopefully we'll get that done next year. Today's question of the day is actually to see if anyone's paying attention when they're watching. So the question is about something I've spoken about in the past. What's in this tank here, and if you know what's in it, what's it used for?